What's up, everybody? Matt Nuzzo. We're here at Reel to talk to you about the Armstrong A Wing. So when Army said, hey man, I'm gonna make some wingy thingies, I was like, really? You make carbon stuff? How are you gonna make these inflatable pool toys? He's like, it's all wings. You know, he's like, I got some ideas. I've been working with this type of stuff for a long time. I was like, cool man, go for it. I believe in you. You got this. When I got this wing, I was like, whoa, there's a lot of different things on this. And I went and wrote it, and then I called him up. I was like, why is this thing so much better than everything else that I've ridden to this point? Like, what is going on? And he's like, well, first off, I want to make a wing that is smaller than any wing on the market, that has more power than any wing on the market. So he's trying to make the smallest wing with the most power, so that when you ride waves, you got a smaller wing to handle. It's like, well, that makes sense. Secondly, he said there's a lot of design specs that kind of are really easy, simple things to do. So first and foremost, I was like, there's no flutter in the trailing edge. How'd you get that to happen? He said, really simple, sailing 101. There's a line sewn into the trailing edge, and it's called a leech line. It's done in tons of sails. They just sew in a line of the trailing edge here, and it just keeps there from being any flutter. I was like, well, that's great. It's way better than those darts or other stuff you're putting in there. Secondly, when you're riding it and you touch the wingtip down, it just bounces off the water. It doesn't drag you down. He said a lot of that's to do with the internal technology of the leading edge. Also the tube sizes. He's like, anytime that wing is flexing, you're losing power and performance. Same thing, you touch it down in the water, it's gonna flex, drag, and pull you down into the water. So he said, you know, what he did is carry the diameter of the tube all the way out to the wingtip, so it's a much larger diameter here, made it extra stiff through the entire section. Also, there's no flex in the section, because there's gonna be a little flex, but he minimized it by engineering a preloaded leading edge. So this is designed so that when you're under sail and you have it sheeted in, it's gonna have some flex, but that flexes to the optimal shape of the wing. You can see this wing looks a lot flatter than most wings because it's not under load, but then when it's under load, you get that dihedral and you get that shape that makes it ride so well and so nice, but it doesn't go past that and spill out and lose all of its air. Also in the leading edge, it's got dual Dacron through the leading edge. He's using this high-end German Dacron material, and then he's using this Aramid Kevlar patching, and he's got it sewn inside of every seam on all the corners here. There's a big section in here, and then also on all the handles and attachment points. He's also using D3 ripstop, which is like a real nice high-end canopy material from Teijin, the top manufacturer on the ripstop. Oh yes. And then we have windows. Windows. The windows are back. So Army found a military grade window material that deals with cold, deals with hot. You can crinkle it, you can fold it, you can crease it, and it's just gonna stay there and fine. He also made a small window. It's just a kind of little window there. So put a window on both sides. The strut is really giant. So, and that's to make this thing super stiff. And he put a small window on the top, so when you're riding, all you do is pull it down, peer over it. If you want to see what's directly in front of you, you can pick up like most wings, but if you want to see what's coming like other kiters and other riders, it's really easy. Peer through the top of the window, and that's actually, you don't realize how much you use windows until you got them again, and then you're like, oh, I can clear traffic a lot easier. I'm taking a lot more, what used to be risk because I didn't know what was in front of me, and now I can see a little better with having those windows. Next thing we're going to talk about here is handles and inflation. Two other things he had to do different. He's not just doing it to be different, he's doing it because he said he can make it better. And I will tell you that this wing does work better. So inflation, he put 2 inflate valves. First I was like, man, what happened to one pump? I want to pump it up. It's like easier with a one pump. But with the one pump, it's really a pain to deflate it because it takes forever for this giant strut to leak out through a little hose. So inflate allows you to get the pressure easier for the strut and the leading edge, and then deflate is significantly easier. These wings were inflating to only 7.5 pounds. Most other brands is 9 or 10 pounds is the inflation recommendation. When you pump something up to that much pressure, it's a lot of strain on the seams. So with less pressure in the wing here, the wing's gonna last longer and have less strain, but also this thing is rock solid. Cannot bend it at all. And it's only 7.5 pounds. So same thing, wingtip, super stiff. And this is only a 3.5, which is the smallest of the sizes there. So inflate, you got your inflate down. Handles, he's got the Y handles, which I really like, really easy for transitioning. They are a soft handle to grip, but then he did something really unique, which is called Shear Web. I don't really understand what it is, but he described it as basically making this connection point so all the load is distributed over the course of the strut, so that he's like, you know, take the handle and just kind of smash it down there, and it's really stiff and rigid, where it's soft in where you grip, but it's really stiff and rigid right at the connection point. And what that does is translates your motion into the wingy thingy. So super reinforced, extra stiff leading edge with the larger tubes, nice size center strut with the Shear Web handle attachment, and you've got a wing that is really, really rigid. Put the Dyneema line through the trailing edge with no flutter, and it's like, this thing is just rock solid. I understand why it works better. So performance-wise, having ridden these wings against other wings, trying this wing a ton in different conditions, different sizes, they do ride a lot bigger than the size on the bag. So did a comparison video with the 4.5 against other 5, 5.5, and some even 6 meter wings, and the 4.5 was holding its own in the same light wind conditions. Upwind performance is, I'm keeping up with the kiters on foils, so definitely has really, really good upwind performance. Speed is super easy. Balance over your head when you're transitioning, it transitions side to side really easily. Boosting, I'm just kind of learning to boost and doing some small airs, but it does give you decent hang time. I haven't really gotten super powered up on it and hucked it off of waves yet, partially because I'm scared, but partially because I just haven't had those conditions yet. But been really impressed with the overall performance. I'm seeing this, we're seeing beginners ride this wing because it's smaller and compact with more power. It makes it a lot easier to handle, so you can have a powered up wing without having the cumbersomeness of a large wing. Even on the 5.5, which is like, well, this thing is like quite a big wing, feels more powerful than any of the other 6 meters that I've ridden on the market, and it has better performance. So people are going to like 7 meters, 7.5 meter wings. It's like, wow, that's a lot of canopy around there. So I'd rather just stick to the 5.5. Army's over 200 pounds. He's riding, you know, this 5.5 in less than 8 knots. So I mean, that's about as light as you're going to be able to go. These wings do come complete with the coil leash, which is not my favorite because these things tie up into knots like this, and then they don't come undone. A good quality coil wrist leash does come with a really high quality bag. The pump is going to be an accessory that you'll need to get if you want it. So that is the Armstrong A Wing. If you have more questions, give us a call to shop, 252-987-6000, or check us out online at realwatersports.com.